Well, and let's talk about the accounts payable. I know there are a lot of people out there, and this has been me at times too. They like pride themselves on paying things early, uh, and just they don't like having the bills. As soon as they get it, it's paid, it's done, and that may not be the smartest thing, right?
Uh, I think it is not the smartest thing.
Okay.
There may be some ancillary reason to do that, some reason I don't know, but, paying in terms is always a really good
Oh,
idea.
yeah. Yeah,
Pay
absolutely.
exactly on terms, but paying just because you don't wanna worry about it is not a good idea generally. And accounts payable aging are aged just like receivables. In other words, things that you have that are current, in other words, they're
Mhm.
not due until the end of 30 days. Things that are past due, maybe 1 or 2 days, but they were due in 30 and we're now on day 32 or 40 or something and on out to 90. When you get out there too far, you start losing credibility with your suppliers and run the danger of not being able to, uh, they won't sell to you anymore, at least not on credit terms. So that's another one that you look at every week on when you get your cash flow information and say, well, I have this much money remaining after paying my payroll and my known expenses and receiving receivables and all this. I have these many bills to pay, and you circle the ones, these are the ones I'm going to pay. And so you're managing the cash. Maybe you still can't pay everything that's due, which is not a good position, but maybe you can't. But at least you've made a decision. You're not, you have, it forces you to have a plan. I'm going to pay that guy,
Yeah.
or I'm going to pay these people. They're important. And then again, you're aware that for some reason I'm falling short on cash every month. I got to go fix it. Right.
Mhm. Yeah. I think you gave some examples, you have some examples of maybe businesses you know or have worked with that have really milked the, payables. I know we
Oh,
talked about Walmart in the past, but
yeah.
essentially, that's how how Sam Walton, his growth strategy was to collect at the point of sale, like you check out at Walmart, but then your payables, he would have 90-day payment terms with a lot of his suppliers, and so
Yeah.
essentially, he would just use that as his lending source.
Well, accounts receivable have DSO, days sale outstanding, which is the number of days it takes you to collect. That's the 45 days, 30 days that we were talking about. There's the same thing for payables. In other words, how long it takes you to pay the average account payable. And there are companies, and I'm thinking one, it's a very large, matter of fact, it's about the 10th largest company in the United States in terms of
Oh,
sales.
I know this one.
And I'm not going to use their name, but they, and it's not because I'm scared of them, but I just said they were in the top 10 and I was looking the other day, I couldn't find them. So maybe they're not there anymore, but billions of dollars, like $200 billion in sales, this company, billion. Their average accounts receivable they collect in about 24 days, 24, 25 days. I don't remember exactly. Their average accounts payable they pay in like 95 days. And it's the spread between those two that operates their entire company. And it's a publicly traded company. Everybody knows it. It has very, very, very like 0.5% net profit margins. Half, well, about 250 million in sales the year I looked at their financials, and it made 1.5 billion in
250 billion in sales, you said million.
billion is yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, billion in sales, and it made 1.5 billion. So what's that? A
Oh,
half a
like half
percent
if
net
that,
profit?
little less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
and
I mean,
funded
and
entirely by the spread between receivables and payables.
but there's
And
the
our listeners are doing a lot of our listeners are doing that or have done that,
yeah.
obviously, with the pressure on to get the money collected and then gonna pay the supply company next month,
Well, and
which is
the
not
thing
a
is
long-term strategy.
it's trickle down economics if you ask me.
Right.
Does the same GCs that these subs are winning jobs from are not paying on time? They're stretching it out to 90 days, 120 days, more. I've seen more regularly, and they say, "Man, we're just not able to pay right now." Da 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 da. Da. And then these subs in turn have to tell their suppliers, "Hey, I can't afford to pay my bill. Like, can you give me more credit line to be able to get more supplies so I can do the job. And you can't do it. You can't do it. You're setting yourself up for failure. So tell the GC, no, I can't do the job because you don't pay, right? And
Yeah.
you start asking for large deposits up front. And then, you've got to make sure you have a lien process in as well, because file the lien early, right? Don't wait till 150 days to file a lien. File it as soon as the payment terms are over. File the lien. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they don't like you, but say you don't pay on time, so I can't trust you, right? So, anyways,
Let's
it
say, I
bothers me.
was, yeah. And I mean, there are people listening, I know, um, who are thinking, yeah, right. I'm going to tell this giant GC he's got to give me 50% deposit. They're not going to do it. And I mean, a lot of them won't do it because you got a
Good.
competitor who says, I'll stand in there and float you the money and not get paid and go broke later on. But in the meantime, you lost the job. But I do urge people not to just self deselect. Don't just, if you
Yeah,
look at it
you
and
have to
it's
ask.
stupid, you have to ask. And we need to have Eric Daffern on again because I had a guy I was giving a talk 2 weeks ago tomorrow, a group of guys, and one of them is a specific trade, works for big GCs, and he was complaining about the pay if paid clause. In other words, I'm not going to pay you if I don't get paid. And I said, well, don't do it. He goes, well, I got to have these jobs. They're huge jobs. What I do? I said, well, negotiate that out. Well, they won't do that. And I said, well, it sounds to me like you're self deselecting. Well, I had Eric Daffern talking to Eric Daffern the other day, our construction attorney.
Mhm.
And in Oklahoma, anyway, uh, he has been successful negotiating that language out of contracts. And in Oklahoma, the case law is such that if a, if a GC doesn't pay you because he didn't get paid by the owner because the electrician screwed it up and you're the plumber, he has to pay you. That's
Mm.
the case law in Oklahoma. Well, a lot of people think it's not, and it is. So you can understand where you can negotiate that sort of thing out, and you try. That's what I'm saying.
You just try.
Just
That's
don't
that's my
self
biggest
deselect
thing.
and say can't be done. Right.
Yeah.
Because if pay if paid is going to wipe you out, or funding maybe $2 million worth of 10% retainers for 5 years, until you finally collect it.
No, I mean,
You don't even remember the address of the job. Uh, we can try to make it correct.
I
Try
think,
to make it where it works.
yeah, there are these huge jobs. We can't afford to lose them. Well, like, these huge jobs are causing huge problems.
Yeah, you
You
can't
know,
afford to do them.
you can't afford to do them. Why not just have smaller problems?
Yeah,
Like, it's a smaller problem to say, "Hey, I've gotta let a crew go," than it is to say, "Hey, I'm taking out personal lines of credit to be able to make payroll every month because this GC is not gonna pay me," you know? So, at the end of the day, it's gotta be a part of your identity. "Hey, we don't do work unless we receive this amount in deposits." It's who we
yeah,
are, right? We do not finance our clients. We don't. They have a bank for that. They can use their line of credit to pay us if they are not getting paid by the end user of the service, right? So, anyways, that's my 2 cents. I think more
yeah.
people, especially in construction, need to stick to it.